Good morning, beloved friends. It's day 25 of the sacred marriage ceremony. And Pete and I are getting into some very meaningful conversations, realizations, and willingness to explore. A beautiful friend of ours, Sarah Grace, sent me some videos about a month ago, which I forwarded onto the forum. Barry Long, part 1 and part 2, Making Love, part 1 and part 2. I still haven't heard all of them, but I've heard part 1 and half of part 2, and they are having a very meaningful effect on me. And I feel that he is speaking the truth, especially the female part. And I'm willing to be very sober to that truth within me. And it's not easy because it's quite a hopeless picture that he's painting. But I feel mature enough to stand, or sit, or maybe lay in that hopeless picture and say, well, whatever needs to be done, let it be done. Because we know this is bigger than us, right? Pete and I are recognizing that the old way of making love is exquisitely dissolving. Doesn't carry meaning anymore. Still very enjoyable, but it's missing the mark, so to speak, because a great depth is being opened up by the love and trust. And that great depth, especially inside of me, probably P2, wants to be met, because it's new. You know, I'm allowing Pete into new places within me, places that have been guarded since I can remember. And so anything less than that full meeting just makes my whole being feel inauthentic and a little bit of a waste of time. And so when I'm hearing the Barry Long videos, I'm kind of going, yes, there it is. That's the restlessness, that's the emptiness he's speaking of. Now then, because I think and see through the eyes of the feminine and the masculine, there is no point me sitting here, standing here, or any of you ladies looking at the man going, well, go on then, do it, fill me. That's not the answer. We have to take step 2, ladies. And so my inner masculine is going to set us all us women, a little 7-day challenge, which begins today if we wish to partake, because it's the new moon. And the 7-day challenge is to really connect with your true and pure and uncomplicated feminine nature. Real feminine nature. Pure feminine nature. I'm not talking Lilith. I'm not talking Kali. I'm not talking Isis or Mary Magdalene even. It's much more whole than that. I'm asking us for 7 days to sink very, very deeply into our true feminine nature. There's an Irish seer who lives out here. She said to me a few weeks ago, there's hardly any feminine beings on the planet. My immediate response was, what? Am I not one of them? I think in my essence I'm a very childlike being, which is nice. But am I a pure feminine being? No. Could I be? Yes. Yes. I believe anyone in the feminine, in the woman's body, has a chance of being a purely feminine being, because God has placed us in that gender for a reason. It's not to be a masculine woman, which is what most of us have been. Most of you ladies, you admitted it quite openly to yourself in the States. You're running mostly on masculine energy, just like I have done, far more than what I am now. So I would like very much to take that big leap of faith and to spend the next 7 days, like a fake it till you make it type thing, of slowing down. I don't have the answers. I don't know how to do this, but I have a few. Slow down. Take it easy. Do not multitask. Do not get heady. Think less about out there. Commune more with in here. Be kind. Be loving. Be joyful. Be relaxed. Be in connection with your body. Be in connection with nature. If you're living in a high-rise, be connected with all the plants in your apartment. Stop organizing things. Stop orchestrating, directing, choosing, deciding, having the last say, being the guiding force in the relationship. Just put all of that on pause for a week. And of course, I know, I can hear it already. Yeah, but if I don't do it, who's going to do it? That's the masculine voice. Let the intelligence of our gender have domain over us. Because if my Irish Shia friend is right, there is hardly any feminine on the planet, and I feel with whatever life I have left, I would wish to address that and do my part by being in this female body.
And when we were talking about this before, setting the video on, she was talking about perhaps working through the chakras and playing each day in one role per day as pertains to that particular chakra. So for the guys, that's going to mean for 24 hours, for 7 days, 7 different facets of the feminine. That means all kinds of things are likely to come out. From the sexual, it could be in the form of anger, it could be in the form of definite feeling of letting go. And if you're like me, that you're coming or have been coming from a feminine, supportive, serving role in the relationship, you're going to feel the masculine from the woman disappear. And as Anaiya was hinting at me, there may be a feeling of, well, what now? Somebody has to drive the bus kind of thing. And it's really important just to keep us guys to keep an eye on that in ourselves, not to leap to a role we've been ascribed as the masculine, the penetrative force, for example, but maybe rest in the not knowing, because we're coming from an old paradigm, we're going into a new one. None of us know what the full feminine feels like or the full masculine. But rather than go back to an old role, let's feel into and figure out with our hearts what the counterpart to these 7 visions of the feminine is.
And I would like to really wrap my arms around all the women, because when I've been invited to drop into my feminine self, by myself or by someone else, years ago I came up against strong forces that suggested not to do that, out of spite. out of vengeance, out of malicious reasons. So I have a feeling we might find some very strong, resistive guardians who might say something like, I don't want to give you my feminine. You're not worthy. You don't know how to protect it. You don't know how to honor it. You don't know how to be with me when I am that. That's okay. It's just the collective voice. It might be our own personal voice, but it's definitely going to be the collective voice again. And again, in deep sobriety, we just got to do this, ladies. We got to do this. What is the bloody point in doing a sacred marriage ceremony if you can't utilize the gender you've been placed in, incarnated in? You know, again, let's go back to the bigger picture. God, some intelligent being has decided to place this Anaiya Sophia spirit in a female body for a reason. Someone decided, a greater spirit decided that Peter Wilson is to be placed in a male human body for a reason. There are energies in those bodies. I know, sometimes we get a bit edgy because we look back at the past, and I'm a little bit of a traditionalist, and I look at those clean, pure roles where the masculine was the driving force and the feminine was the receptive force. Personally, I can't see a problem with that. I'm not talking about barbarianism.
Or Barbie.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about when there was harmony, when there was a sense of harmony. Anyway, loads of wonderful conversations like that to be had. And the reason this came up is because we watched The Immortals last night, which is a very violent movie, fabulous movie, demigods, ancient Greece and all of that, oracles. But what I love about this movie is the high priestess, the oracle, as far as I can see, is holding that pure feminine essence. And I look at her, and the gap between what I am and mostly what you are as well is a very small gap. Doesn't take much, but for me it's going to take a heck of a lot of vigilance to keep coming back to that place. And the high priestess in the Immortals, very similar to the female aspect of Pitaya. So I know I'm on the right path when I say it's time to become that feminine presence, because it's what the female part of Pitaya is. Again, I'm inviting us all, women, let's let go of that masculine energy. It's not helping us, it's not helping him, it's not helping the planet. Let's flip it around and see what happens, for a week, each of us holding our gender roles. And of course the New Age says, yeah, don't do that, just be 50-50. What if they're wrong? What if that's just another massive denial because the pain of being truly feminine and masculine is too immense for these little airheads? Anyway, what do you say? Let's talk about this on the forum.
Yeah, I want to be really directly masculine here. And that this, although it's sounding like a sweet introduction to another topic, it's actually a really important subject, and will actually be the litmus paper test of our relationships with each other. Because if there's anything left unhealed, it's going to show up in the sexual. We've all, you and us, we've been doing a lot of deep work, and we've kind of got to a lot of areas that we perhaps haven't been in before, and starting to heal those and starting to live those aspects of our togetherness from a much more heart-centered and spiritually directed place. The last area, perhaps the last big area, is sexuality. And it doesn't work to have fixed all the rest of ourselves, as it were, and leave sexuality as a thing we just don't talk about, don't dare to go into the depth of. And yet it too must source from this combined energy, this new energy together. None of us have a description of it. No one knows what it looks like. And we're right on the forefront here of finding out. So it's critically important. Guys, Don't shell up. Don't disappear into your cave. Talk to the women about it. Encourage the ladies to try and say what they're feeling. And as they do, us, important not to take it personally. It's not about us specifically, even though we're catalyst. It's about what's going on in the feminine, what's going on in the masculine. And it could be a really bright new future. How would it be to make love from a place of centered human or divine humanness? How could that be?
We had a conversation this morning, asking each other what's truthfully in one another's minds when it comes to sexuality. Pete was having this idea that I would be really happy and enjoying sitting on top of him and enjoying that role of being on top. He told this to me. No, I have no interest in that at all. Sincerely. I just want to be feminine. I want to be penetrated. I want to be so receptive, so open, trusting, innocent. I want to be sat on top of him. That has no interest in me at all. That's my past. Boring. I've done that. I want to go the other way, please. So that was a big revelation. Suddenly he doesn't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah, and why that was so important is because that's performance related. That's directly in my head. Can't sleep at night all the way because of this idea that I won't be able to stay hard enough so that she can go as far as she wants to go and as long as she wants to go with sitting on top. Well, that's nowhere near what she's thinking. And that whole performance thing is based on a self-doubt of whether I can, whether I'm good enough, whether I'm able to. And that mind chatter actually is directly destructive to sexuality. So letting go of our old stories of what's, guys, what's expected of us. Brett was talking about, this, something I said earlier about guys, we often get in a script about how to do things, what order we need to do things for the women, and what areas to touch in which order. And that's all script. It's not true. It's an idea, but it's not relevant to specifically this woman that's here right now. Where is she? What's her needs right now? How does she need to be met right now? Which can be different from 5 minutes ago.
So, beloved friends, we sincerely
Good luck on this one.
wrap our arms around you, offer the hand of friendship. We're here, we can Skype, we can email. Let's write about this on the forum. This is really important stuff. I would love for us all to taste the authenticity of our right roles and balances of male and female energy. Yeah, we love you very, very much.
Yeah, hang on in there, guys. Keep this real.
Yeah.